Hello and welcome to the Drink In and Geek Out podcast. This is a show where we drink beer and talk about it.
This episode is going to be a little bit different than our normal episode because today is the day of Brew Haven and we are all getting ready for what is called Northeast Indiana's premier craft beer festival. At least that's what Treon calls it, so of course they're going to brag about it. But this is, Dustin, your first?
My first Brew Haven experience.
And your...
Paul and I have been 4 years.
Fourth year? So this would be my third. And it's usually pretty fun, usually a pretty big event.
It gets bigger every year.
Yeah.
We're up to 83 craft breweries.
I think I read on their site earlier, last year they had 50 breweries and 2,200 attendees.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm guessing this year is probably going to be bigger than that.
Yeah, definitely.
Can't wait. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I tried to look up who, because they have a People's Choice winner every year for the best beer. I couldn't find last year's, but 2014 was Summit City Brew Works. That's not very surprising to me. And then 2013 Tin Man. That's the only two I could find. They don't really advertise it on their website. So
no, not
I
very
don't
much.
know how to. They don't unless the winners brag about it. It's hard to really find who won. I love that magazine.
So last year, 2015, was a rough day. Rough day for me.
Yeah, definitely for Paul.
Definitely a rough day for Paul. So let's just say I didn't know what was going on from about 4 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, the event starts at 2 and ends at 6. So the last 2 hours.
The last 2 hours, don't even know where I'm at, what I'm doing. So this year, I'm trying something a little different. I'm going to strategize this year. I've stumbled across a article. The founder of Sam Adams, Jim Koch, he stumbled across, talking to a doctor, this thing called active dry yeast. You found in the grocery store, in the baking aisle. There's a substance in there that will break apart the alcohol in your stomach before it ever hits your bloodstream. I don't know if this has been tested or proven, but I'm giving it a try this year. We'll see how it goes. Of course, afterwards, I will let you know how I'm feeling. Am I still alive?
I was going to say, if he won't let you know, the rest of us will.
Yeah, if he can't speak or if he's passed out.
Yep, if I'm blacked out,
obviously it's
Sam, Dustin, I'll let you know.
I plan on doing mini recordings throughout the event, so I'll take notes on how things are going, what beers I like, what beers I didn't like, how Pale Stomach is doing.
Just small little updates here throughout the event. And then as you listen through the episode, you'll probably hear us get a little bit more slurred in our speech, a little more drunk as the day goes on. But we just wanted to start out and give you a little heads up what this episode is going to entail.
And when we finish, who knows if we'll be able to finish the podcast. But we're going to try, so enjoy the rest of the show.
Hale, this could be your last episode. Hopefully you survived today.
If you hear this, thumbs up. If you never hear this, thumbs down.
All right, welcome back. We did do the Brew Haven. We did not actually get any recordings during Brew Haven, so we're going to try to recant our adventures, which is going to be a little bit more fun because we are coming coherent from our drunken haze.
It was a little too loud to do anything there. We would have had to go off into the distance, and that would have just taken more time out of the beer we could have tasted. So we just figured we'd take notes on what we tasted, come back, and tell you about it.
Right. And so I think somebody, when we first got there, was like, we need to figure out what we're going to give our top 3 to. And so the rating system that Saf came up with would be the aluminum can, the gold can, and the platinum can.
Right.
And then somebody mentioned, how about we also do the bottom 3, which I'm not completely against.
Yeah.
Something that we tried that we didn't like
so
feels,
much,
it feels like it's a good idea to talk about, and maybe we can fix something.
Yeah, some of the ones we poured down the drain because we just couldn't handle them at the time, or were not what we were looking for.
Right. So who wants to get started with their feeling of Brew Haven plus their top 3, bottom 3?
As a whole event, it was... I mean, Treon, however you say it, they do a pretty good job, but it's just there's so many people and it's so hot and it's in such a small area that it's hard to get around or get to the beer. Everybody wants to hide under the main tent and just hog up the area where you're trying to get to the beer.
Yeah, that's where the shade is at.
Yeah.
So everybody just
Everybody
hanging out
would.
under the shade.
They'd go grab a beer and then take 2 steps back and stand there and drink it and be like,
Exactly.
"Hey, get out of the way!
We want
we
to
want
get
to
out
get
there
in
too.
and get some beer." So
Get out.
So that's
one of
the
tents.
main complaint for me, anyways. It's just there's too many people, it's too crowded, and it's just not enough shade to go around.
As a newbie, I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was curious on your thoughts since it's your first time.
Right. If I didn't know any better, I would have been okay with the crowded people. But it makes sense to me to say, hey, move the hell out of the way.
Right.
I mean, it was great to come with you guys because if I would have gone by myself, I would have started in the front.
Yeah.
But I've been to roller coaster parks. I've been to other places. You go to the back.
Yeah, that's
and so
exactly.
if I had gone by myself, I would have just stopped
Started
right
at the first thing you
and be
see.
like, oh, I'm excited. It's beer. And I feel like that's the mentality of a lot of people there. And so I'm happy that we did actually start in the back because we did get to taste a lot of the beers.
And by the time we got back around that way, all that stuff was closed down. So it's kind of good we started over there too.
Right. And even one of my top beers is one of the beers that we tasted first. And so
I think,
it's actually a really good thing. As a complaint, I would like to say that I do not have that many complaints, but the only thing that I would like to complain about would be maybe a cooler hydration system.
Yeah.
Put ice in those coolers and maybe not limited those to wash stations, but you need water to fill up your cup and drink stations because it seemed like a lot of people were just using it for wash stations, which makes sense. You don't have warm water, you just rinse off your cup and grab beer, but you have more of those watering stations where people can wash their beer and then also hydration stations so we can actually have water with our beer because we all know what happens when we drink beer is we get dehydrated because wait a minute,
especially when it's 90 degrees out. We're sweating the whole time, so you just have nothing in your system to hydrate you.
Right. And probably Keith didn't have to pee at all because we sweat all the beer through the course.
Sweat it all out.
So
that is why me and Saf peed once.
Yeah, we usually do multiple times.
I usually pee about 5 times.
Well, I think the difference is I drank 1 or 2 bottles of water beforehand, and I think you guys had like 4 or 5.
Yeah, you had 4. I think I had 3, so I was already ready to pee before I left the house.
Yes.
But yeah, you're right. There needs to be like ice in those those Gatorade coolers or whatever you call those big jugs.
Right. I definitely appreciated having water, and I didn't mind drinking them if they're little bit room temperature is. But if you're gonna have something, you might as well mark it as washing station and hydration station. I mean, give us cold water because I did not mind filling up my cup with cold water and just sitting there and drinking the cold water a little bit.
But cold water was nowhere to be found. Even those jugs were full of warm water, and the hose was full of even warmer water.
And nobody likes drinking out of a hose. What is this, like circa 1990?
I even emailed them to see if we could bring our own water. And like, oh, no, we have plenty of water stations. Well, the water stations are kind of pathetic.
Bullshit.
If with the amount of beer and the amount of people there needs to be more water stations, more area to get cold water. That's why when we went to Fisher's, it was nice because they had barrels full of bottled water covered in ice. It was nice and cold. Yeah. So
They're doing it right.
I agree with you that there needs to be some upgrade in the water system.
One thing I noticed is that when we first got there, we got there about right when they let everyone in.
Oh, yes.
At 2 o'clock.
That's right. I kind of forgot about this.
And it was a huge line, which didn't mind.
It's
so we walked towards the back.
It's like 3 blocks almost from the beginning of the line to the end of the line, where it's to be expected.
It took about 30 minutes to 20 minutes, roughly, to get to the front. But when we got up there, it kind of split off into 3 different parts, and there was nobody who works there giving any direction whatsoever. There was somebody over here giving checking IDs, checking tickets, and giving wristbands.
And then there's
someone else
station where you could buy tickets, and we're like, do we go over there? We already have tickets, but it's not labeled anywhere.
Yeah, there was no direction. It was kind of poorly run.
And then there's also a line right in the beginning of it where it was also checking people in for wristbands.
Right.
So we hit the stations beforehand to get a wristbands, and we walked in and pale stood in that line because it looked like a line you needed to stand in.
Yeah.
Because
We already got the wristbands. We do not need to stand in any more lines. And then there's people coming around the other corner from the opposite side of the line.
Missing the line altogether.
And they're just walking right
in.
in, and it's like, we stood in this line, and now these people are cutting in front of us to get their wristbands, and it's not kind of not fair when we have to sit in line for 20 minutes, and these people are just walking right up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out, because I kind of forgot about that part.
Right. So, before we went, we talked about the wonderful yeast
Yes.
concoction. So please, Tail, inform us, how did the yeast work
How did the
out?
yeast hold up in your stomach?
Well, I tried, took the active dry yeast, and I put it in some potato salad. I put it on a hamburger, and I put it in a hot dog as well. It didn't. I mean, it tasted like bread, and like the texture was like sand. I didn't really mind it. I mean, it was
Just more bread on your burger, basically.
more bread on the bun. It was equivalent to maybe 6 or 7 teaspoons.
Yeah, it wasn't that much. But
Yeah, but
a little packet.
I think it held up okay. I wouldn't say it was like anything like groundbreaking.
Instead of being blackout drunk at 4 o'clock, you made it to the end this time.
Yeah, I made it to the end. I was drunk, but I was like coherent. I knew what was going on. I was able to eat my dinner. I got a bad case of hiccups. It did not help. Eventually, I did have to puke.
That's where you get the name Pukey Paul.
Yeah. I puked. I did feel a lot better. The hiccups were gone. But I would say much better this year than last year. I'm able to remember everything. I'm able to do this portion of the podcast, which last year I would not be able to.
You
would
were
be asleep right
passed
now.
out
I would be asleep
for
in the
hours
bedroom.
at this point. Question. Was it the yeast that helped, or did you think you drank less this year? Just on your opinion, do you think one helped over the other?
Well, I would say like I was around like 32 or 33 beers.
It's hard to say. How many do you think you had last year?
I would say I probably did drink
More?
less this time
Yeah.
than last year, so that helped. I paced myself.
You were ready to pour something out if you didn't like it.
Yeah, I
rather
was-
than chug it real fast to move to the next one.
Yes.
I think the temperature might have been a factor
That
too.
definitely.
Because it really affected me.
Uh-huh.
It just kind of, standing out in direct sunlight, I mean, it just takes the life out of you. It did for me at least. And I could definitely feel the dehydration. So I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe the lack of water and what you had in pacing yourself too kind of offset the yeast a little bit, maybe.
Which would be,
I mean, I don't know.
Brings us back to more water stations. Ease of getting water would have probably helped you a lot.
Yes, there was a few times where I wanted to just take a break, drink whatever water I can get my hands on, and
By the end there, it was hard to even get water out of those jugs.
Yeah,
we
they
had
were
to tip
empty.
them to try to get just
Yeah.
a little drop of water even out of them.
but I would say last year I was pushing 40 to 45
Yeah.
tastings. So I brought it back this year. So I would say combination, like the dry yeast
Maybe help.
maybe helped a little bit, but probably just controlling what I was tasting and drinking was helpful.
Yeah, it controls the portion control.
The portion
is a
control
little bit better of
was a
the
little bit better
strategy.
this time. Yeah.
I think we did end up as a average 33.
Yeah,
at
somewhere
least.
around there.
That's what I counted.
I stopped tapping about halfway through because the sun was just the glare on the screen just became too much of a hassle to try to tap each beer, search for, and then tap it. I was rather just move on to the next beer and not get the headache looking at the screen.
Right, I tapped 27.
I think I only tapped like 15.
I tapped
and I know
29.
I've had more than that. So.
Yeah. I did have a few in the Fort Wayne only tents that I couldn't tap.
That's
and
true.
then-
The homebrew
Yeah,
ones weren't on there.
And then the last row, I couldn't find any of those mead beers
Right.
and a couple of other things. So I'm just going to throw it out there, and I think that we successfully did
around the 30 range.
30 something range.
Yep.
So speaking of having 33 beers, we decided that we should probably rank these.
Mhm.
And Saf came up with a great ranking system. Please inform us what these ranking systems are.
I just figured your middle range is your aluminum can. So if you've got something, we'll do like a top 3, and the lowest one is going to be your aluminum can to go with like the medals of the Olympics that are just starting. And then your second one will be your gold can standard, and then your top beer is going to be your platinum can. So we should probably start with your aluminum can winners, and then work our way up from there.
Right.
So I couldn't decide. I actually came up with 2 for my aluminum can. I couldn't decide between the New Belgium Citradelic, this is my first time experiencing them. I've had plenty of New Belgiums before, but this is my first time having the Citradelic, and I thought it was pretty good. It's a little hoppy, but a little citrus, and I thought it was a good blend of flavors. But my other one was the Three Floyds Blood of the Sunsets. And these are both American IPAs, and I don't really like IPAs in general, so I was kind of surprised by them. They had a little bit better flavor, so I think that's what kind of put them on my list, because I'm not usually an IPA drinker, and these were actually really good IPAs to me, and it kind of shocked me and like made me enjoy them a little bit more, I think. So, Paul, what was your number 3?
My number 3
Your aluminum can.
My aluminum can was a breakfast cookies milk stout. My Ichida Brewing Company.
So what kind of beer was that? It was a stout, right?
Yeah, it was a stout.
So it's a little bit darker.
Milk stout. Yeah, it was a darker beer. Full body.
I didn't taste this one. Could you taste like cookies, like chocolate chip cookies in it, or like?
It was more of like a sugar cookie.
It was like more of a sugar cookie.
Yeah, it was very sweet, and you still had like the silky, creamy, dark stout, but it was more like a sugar cookie than anything. It was pretty good.
Yes.
I thought it was good. But
Yeah, I liked it.
And Ichida won the.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is this a good time to mention that they won?
They might as well. They actually won People's Choice this year.
Yeah, I think they might have won last year. We couldn't find it, but I feel like they've won before, and so I don't know if it was last year or the first year, but it sounds familiar, like they've won recently. So
Yep.
And they were a sponsor this
yeah,
year.
they definitely were.
They have been, I think, for several
Mhm.
years they've been sponsors. So,
All right, Keith, what's your aluminum can winner?
well, I'm gonna keep with the theme here in the Yikida, however we want to pronounce it. But the one that I found, just for its sheer uniqueness, was the Margarita Mexican Lager.
That was my honorable mention. I was gonna save it because I thought I had that too, and it was really good.
It's a lager. It's a light one, but they added so much citrus to it, and I could tell it was the natural flavoring of lemon and lime. It tasted. You can get a hint. They tried to get as close to tequila as best they could, but
It's almost like
it was good. I mean, it wasn't bad, but
it was just so different.
it was different, and I liked it. So
Yeah, you could almost taste the salt around the rim, as if you were
Yep.
drinking a margarita, which was really strange and unexpected for a beer to taste so much like a margarita. And I agree with you. It almost made my list, just right under there.
Mhm.
All right, Dustin.
All right, so you guys know that I am a dark drinker. right?
Definitely, yes.
I love the dark drinks, but I have had this kind of weak, fruity fetish in the past. And so my aluminum can winner was the Shoreline's German-style Stellar Blue. And this is a blueberry-style lager. It's a German style, so it's a little bit darker. But it had the hints of blueberry, and it was just so, I don't want to say fruity, but it, like a German-style lager, but also had hints of the blueberry. It was just really good. It really appealed to my senses. And of all the fruity beers that I had, like this is the only one that just jumped out at me. It was like, hey, I'm glad you drank me, because I was glad I drank it.
Yeah, I sampled yours, and I really liked it, too.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
I wish I had a full glass, but just that sample, I was like, wow, this is pretty impressive. It had a nice blueberry like aftertones to it.
Yeah, and a couple years ago, blueberry was the beer of the summer, and
there was a lot of different blueberry beers.
Yeah, and I think this is like, I don't want to like curse my tongue or anything, but I think this was the best blueberry beer I've had. It was really good.
For my gold can, I also went with the Shoreline beer, which was the Sesh Wheat, which is the one I got instead of the blueberry, and it was a wheat ale, so I kind of gravitated towards that because that's usually my style, and it did not disappoint. It had a very good flavor. It was just above your typical wheat, and it was pretty impressive to me, and I really enjoyed it had kind of a unique flavor to it that most wheats, I can't really describe it. I can't really remember it because we had so many beers, but this was definitely at the top of my list for the day.
My gold can would be the Southern Tier Unearthly Imperial Double IPA. This one was a 9.5% ABV with 75 IBUs.
That's so bitter.
Yeah. I just really enjoyed the balance of the aromas and the ingredients that were included in this beer. It was not quite as good as the double IPA that they had made, but I did enjoy this beer quite a bit.
I had a Harvest Ale from Southern Tier that I really liked, and it was almost made my list too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Southern Tier really has it together.
They really do some good beers.
We had the 3 citrus whatever that you brought the last episode from Southern Tier.
3 citrus peel.
Yeah, 3 citrus peel was
that was really good.
Yeah, so I think I'm kind of a fan of them.
Yes.
Making some list, that's what I'm saying.
All right, Keith.
For my gold can, I will give it to Beltane Scottish Ale from Shoreline Brewery, Michigan City.
Shoreline.
Cleaning up.
Yes.
Yes. I will say I have had better Scottish ales, but this one, it was very smooth. It was a lower ABV. It was only 4.7, so it wasn't as potent. I've had a lot of Scottish ales that kind of knock you out, the 8.5%, 9%, but this one was smooth, light enough that on a hot day, as today was, it went down really smooth, and I could definitely drink a lot of those.
Awesome.
For my gold can, I went with the Brown Note from the Against the Grain Brewery. Me and Keith walked up to this brewery. We looked at the 2 options, and our first response was at pretty much the same time. Was, Brown Note. So we grabbed it, and it didn't disappoint. Brown ale at its finest. It went down smoothly. I mean, there was no complaints there at all.
Mm-hmm.
There's everything in brown ale could be. It's low aroma. It was a little bit nutty that you can smell. Brown note, right? So you get a hint of the brown. It wasn't bitter at all. I wish I could bring up the IBVs or anything. I just didn't pull those up. I didn't really care too much. It'd probably say something in the 60s, but I didn't think it was that much because I just went down smooth. But it's definitely gold can worthy. I appreciate it, and especially since it was a low time brewery that I've never heard of, Against the Grain. First time for everything. So gold.
Yeah, I
goes
definitely
to
never heard of them either.
Yeah.
I like the beer I had. I don't remember the name of the beer I had, but I also really like the one I had too. So I think they have their stuff together too,
right?
Or at least they brought their top game with them.
Right, now it is time for the Platinum Can.
The best of the best.
Hopefully that sounds good. The drumming on the pillow.
Well, I mean, it looks good. So, who knows? We'll see.
All right. For my Platinum Can, I went with the Lagunitas 12th of Never.
Ooh, the one that was in front of the can, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was probably the second or third beer that I had, so it kind of stuck with me throughout the day. It had semi-sweet, like after flavor to it, which I really liked. Does anybody remember what kind of beer it was? Because I don't at this point.
Yes, I can look that up for you.
I was trying to find it.
It is a pale ale.
Pale ale? All right, that's kind of surprising.
American.
I went with a lot of pale ales today. But, yeah, it was really good. The can was pretty cool, too. It was a purple color, which I really like. And I stole a sticker from that guy. But he told me to.
Oh, well, there you go.
It wasn't really stealing, but
He was a nice guy, too.
Yeah, and Lagunitas is a pretty popular brand. I think they're out of California, and they're kind of making their way across the country. And I think I am looking forward to tasting more of their beers.
My platinum can. I'm going back to Southern Tier Brewing.
Wow.
Going Warlock.
What?
We might as well wrap the show right here.
Yeah, this was a pumpkin/yam beer, 10% ABV. This beer was really pushing my favorite pumpkin ale by Schlafly. This was just really good. I could taste the cinnamon, the pumpkin, good balance. The IBUs are not available, so I'm sure it's very low, very like
Yeah, it didn't
low.
seem very bitter to me.
No, not very bitter at all.
Not at all.
But yeah, I was really digging this beer.
Oh, it was fantastic.
It is fantastic. Yeah. I think I put fantastic in the comments. Fantastic.
Yeah, so when I was just standing there with Saf, Keith walked over and like, hey, try this. Like, oh, it's fantastic. And he's like, go get it. It's Southern Tier. So I went and grabbed it. And we're drinking it a little bit. It was definitely enjoyable. And then when Saf told us an idea about rating the cans, we both said in unison that this would be
the top.
platinum.
Top 3.
And so
absolutely.
it is hilarious that Paul, of all people,
Joined us.
said that it was the top. Because Keith, what was your top?
Warlock.
Dustin, what was your top? Warlock. So if I had a penny in the bag, which they promised me a penny somewhere, I would have thrown it in Southern Tier because
Absolutely.
Yes.
they definitely threw it on there.
I would
and
definitely throw them in there.
The people that I talked to who were just getting there, I told them to go to Southern Tier and
I
get
did
this.
too.
I had a student that walked up next to me who was my peer. He's the same age as me. Strange as this is, say he's my student. I told him, have you been to Southern Tier yet? He's like, yes, I have. And I said, did you try Warlock? He's like, no. I was like, do it. He's like, why? I was like, 10%. That's all I said. So,
And then they went, oh, we're going over there right now.
so it just, I mean, listen, that is a really good beer. Get your hands on it. It is a Russian Imperial with pumpkin.
I totally agree. It was very good. I didn't tap it. I only had a sip of it, and I really liked it. But I couldn't rate it on my can scale because I didn't have a full really sense of what it offered. But I really liked the taste I got from Keith's glass, and I have I think you guys are right with that choice on your platinum can right there.
Yeah.
Probably could have a clean sweep if we all tried it.
Yeah,
But-
exactly.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So that's how that goes. All right. So now we have to discuss the beers that we ultimately poured out, right? Because these were the worst of the worst. I don't know if Pale poured anything out unless we told him to.
We had to force him to, which might be part of the problem.
You had to force me to pour it out.
But it felt so bad every time
Right.
we made him do it.
So instead of going in round robins for this, I think we just might as
shout
well
out.
just shout them out. The third worst one that I had was from Route 2 Brewing, or Brews, I don't know how they say it. Route 2 Brews. And it was the Monkey Junk.
Oh,
It was a little bit of a fruity one, and
so
I had a couple sips, and I was already looking forward to the next. So I
took a sip.
poured it out. So earlier in the day, I was standing in line, or thought I was standing in line for
That's right.
Three
For
Floyds.
3 Floyds.
And I wasn't getting help. Finally, the blonde over in the corner was like, I can help you, but I only have control of these 4 beers. And it was Danny Boy. So I was like, all right, Danny Boy's fine. I'll take the Ginger Wit. This Ginger Wit. And I was like, ginger beers should be fun.
Yeah.
It was the worst trash I've ever tasted. And so I tossed it. I just absolutely trashed
I tried it too. It was
Yeah, I
it
gave it
was
to him. He's
so
like-
gingery.
like,
It was not a beer at all that I.
Yeah, I was like I was drinking a flat ginger ale. So we tossed that. But that was not the worst beer that I had. The worst beer that I had was the second beer of the day. I went over to the Lagunitas and I grabbed myself Aunt Sally's
I
sour
forgot about her.
mash. I forgot about her too. I had somebody else in the second spot where the ginger was the last, but the sour mash. After you
Yeah.
mentioned the Lagunitas, it made me weep. As a grown man, it made me weep. And I was sipping on it. I took 2 sips on it, just very small sips. And Saf's like, you could toss it. And I didn't think twice.
Yeah, I said I wouldn't judge you if you poured it out right now. And he said, okay.
So if we were giving stars for the worst beers ever made, this would get 5 stars. Just find out. Sorry, Lagunitas, I love your beer, but this Aunt Sally's was terrible. Nobody should love their aunt to this. It was awful.
I can't really think of 3, but the first one I remember pouring out was a vanilla. It was one of the Fort Wayne beers. It was a vanilla something. I don't remember the name of it. I think it was one of the home brews, maybe.
Probably.
But it tastes like
Vanilla Villain from
That's
Four.
it.
Four Misfits.
Four Misfits. That's it.
and it just tasted like drinking straight vanilla extract. There was like no beer flavor to it at all, and I just couldn't handle it. There was maybe a little root beer type aftertaste because
Vanilla's in
vanilla
root beer,
root, yeah. But it just was not a good beer for me.
Yeah, I trashed it too. 'Cause we were discussing
went there
that
together.
it was like a flat root beer.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I did not do a bottom 3, but 2 I did pour out were Watermelon Dorado by Ballast Point Brewing and Summer Breeze by Man Cave Brewing Company.
Oh.
I liked that one.
I enjoyed that.
That one?
Yeah.
That one.
I give that a 3.5.
I mean, it wasn't
the
spectacular,
best, but
yeah.
I didn't.
It was
pour out worthy.
As hot as it was smooth. It
Oh,
was clean.
I do remember the other one. But go on.
Yeah, it just didn't do anything. It didn't do it for me. I don't know. It was odd. The Summer Breeze, just didn't do it. It didn't.
That's fine. If you don't like it, you don't
Yeah,
like
you
it.
don't
but
like it.
I didn't think it was too bad.
And then the Watermelon Dorado was too fruity, too sour.
Usually watermelon doesn't have a lot of flavor, which is surprising how much the fruit overpowered the beer in that.
Yeah.
It makes me sad because this summer is supposed to be the year of the watermelon, and we didn't see any.
Not too many. More blueberry this year
Not
than.
many.
Yeah, there's more blueberries in
Yeah.
the watermelon, and the watermelon that was there ballast had, and you said you poured it. So
Yeah,
that
I
makes
poured
me
it
sad.
out. I had 2 drinks and poured it out.
Before we get to Keith, I do remember the one beer that I poured out, which was at Dogfish Head, that the guy talked us into trying.
Oh, yes.
I don't remember the
Yes.
name of it. I thought it said something about raisins.
I did not
on it.
tap that one, but
It was a raison. It was a Bière de Providence.
Yeah,
It was 18%.
yeah.
Oh,
It was.
God.
It tasted like drinking Rubbing alcohol. It was too much alcohol. It was not a good flavor, and it was. We all took a sip out of it, and we basically were like, "Nope,
No way.
not nothing we wanted to
This
drink."
gotta go.
No way.
Right. It didn't make my list because I didn't get this shit when I poured it.
All right,
got the
Keith,
brown.
what did you have?
The one I did not like, and you all tried it as well. It was one of the. It was under the Fort Wayne tent.
It was like
It was the one with
you
the
got
bear.
you got the business.
I got the
card.
business
Do you
card.
still have it with
It
you?
is not with me
Okay.
currently. It's out
Is it
in my vehicle.
GG's or something
Yeah,
like that.
GG's, yeah.
G&G.
G&G.
G&G Brew.
They got a bear as a logo.
Which I'm excited for them to come for.
Yeah, they said
Oh,
this
absolutely.
will be open in the next year or two. I'll definitely go there. But the one beer we had,
The one beer that I tried was the jalapeno amber. And I know I spoke about in a previous podcast when I was up in Kalamazoo that I tried a jalapeno beer where they took all the spice out. Well, I think I know where the spice went. It went directly into this beer. Typically, when I have jalapenos and spicy food, it's kind of a delayed, you get the good flavor up front and then the afterburn as it goes down the throat. Now, this punched me in the mouth right away.
Right.
I was immediately burning, crying. It was not enjoyable at
even
all.
when we smelled it,
you could smell it, yeah.
yeah,
It
and
sting-
it would
stung.
sting the nostrils. Even it's like, do I really want to taste it? Well, I gotta try it. It's right here in front of me. I can't turn it down. But God, it burnt for several minutes. We had to eat like half our pretzels at that point.
It's like a little spice is okay, like when we had the Strabanero wheat.
Yeah, it was
That
even
was good.
spicier than that.
Yeah, that I thought was good. I could handle, but this was just way too powerful.
And
of
I think
spice.
last year, Old School Brew House had a jalapeno
They
beer
did.
that was really good. It had a jalapeno flavor without the spice,
Yep.
which it was like one of my favorite beers of the day. All right, now that we got through that, does anybody have a favorite brewery out of all of the ones we
I think we kind of
talked
Southern
about?
Southern Tier,
Southern Tier.
definitely. Ichida.
And I think at Shoreline we all had we all had one on our list.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think
if we, of our top 3, I think it would end up being Shoreline, Southern Tier, and Ichida.
Yeah, I think we all kind of enjoyed at least one beer from each of those places.
Right. Can't be mad about that. Right. So, as we wrap up this episode, it is going to be rather short compared to the rest of our episodes because this is a special episode. Mm-hmm. When we release these podcasts, we're actually going to also release a few of our logos that we're trashing around, different images. We're going to post that on Instagram. And we all know how to get on the Instagram. It is going to be at Drinking Geek Out. So please like the logo that you like the best, and then we can, pal around to see which logo each of us like, and from our supporters, whatever we like.
You guys are basically voting on which one you think we should choose.
Yeah, I think we
with
have
your like system.
5 of them, 6 of them.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so we're still in practice, and then potentially we can get T-shirts of your favorites. We have several logos. There's one logo that might represent us the best, but if you want a T-shirt of the other logo, I think it's fair for us to have as well. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to hear from you at your earliest convenience, of course.
Also, I just want to apologize for the sound issues in the first few episodes. We're still learning how to do this, so there's going to be a little microphone troubles, a little static. We're trying to get the hang of this and get all the kinks worked out, and it'll get better as we go.
I promise.
So on the 4th episode, we had the Mr. Brown from Peoples, and we all complained about how much head was on the beer, and we kind of rated it kind of negatively based on that. Well, after we recorded that episode and I posted a picture of it, the co-founder or founder from Peoples actually reached out to us and explained that it's because it was in the bottle an extra long amount of time. I can't remember.
The re-fermentation process.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And it just caused it to get more head than normal. And he offered us a free tour and to replace the beer that was not really enjoyed by us.
Yes, not up to their standards. They knew they could definitely do better. And, so we didn't want to sound too negative to put these guys down. We hope we didn't come off that way, but it was definitely a good beer once we got by the
flavor.
head.
It was just the head that made us wait a half hour to taste it is kind of what we took some points off, I feel like, and it's unfair when that's not kind of what they're supposed to have on a normal basis. So eventually, I don't know when it's going to happen, we're going to go to the brewery and actually get a fresh... I don't know, I'm kind of making this up as we go. We should get a fresh Mr. Brown and then rate it again fairly.
Absolutely.
Right. All right, so I hope you guys enjoy. This was a special episode. We'll get back to the swing of things next episode, which, as we know, going on right now is the Olympics. So the next episode is actually going to include specialty beers from different countries.
Yes.
So please check us out. Now, Keith, tell us how to find us.
You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at DrinkInGeekOut. You can also check out our show notes and updates on drinkingeekout.tumblr.com. To suggest a beer for us to review, you can email us at drinkingeekout@gmail.com or tweet us using the hashtag #DrinkUpAndTellMeAboutIt. If you want to buy us a beer, visit our website and click on the donate button. And if you like the show, please rate, review, subscribe, and tell your friends. Thanks for listening, and until next time, drink up and geek out.